started. Session recording started. Oh, good. We will wait out for like 5 minutes, I guess. So the people will start joining in this event. Solid lineup. We have Nicola getting back to the webinar session after skipping a bunch of those. We have Ask on the spotlight over here. We're going to just increase the pressure on him, just putting him on the spotlight from time to time, but still good. Cool. We have our first guest. So, hey, ciao Gorane, kako si druže moj? Pozdravljam te. Overall, this webinar will be conducted in English, of course. So we have registered somewhere around 90 people, not sure about that, from various regions all around the world. And yeah, the aim of this webinar is to help people get better understanding on how they're looking on LinkedIn and how they can leverage the whole concept. Nevertheless, I will wait 3 more minutes so we can get around with the attendees just joining us, and we will do our all-round introduction. I mean, Vasco will do the introduction because most of the people know who we are. So yeah, I think that we're all good with that. How do you like sessions so far, Vasco?
Well, this is first time I'm using sessions. If you ask me about your webinars from 6 weeks, I was not on all of them. I was at 2 or 3 of those. So, and I like, they were okay. No, they were great. They were great.
Cool. That's a provocation right there. It's all good. I mean, this is our first time actually doing webinars and all of that. So we figured what's a better way to communicate with people if not just gather everyone around the table and say what you have to say. And on top of that, there were like some really amazing individuals, some of them customers, others like friends of the product and the team overall. So we've decided, yeah, let's do guests, right? And yeah, it's a fun experience, to be honest. Like these webinars usually last for an hour. We usually leave the last 15 minutes for a like short Q&A session, something that was mentioned, someone who has something to say or to add to anything that we are discussing over here. But yeah, nevertheless, it will be like few minutes. It should not. There is always this feeling that it will last forever, but it's like few seconds. Cool. 1 more minute, guys, and we will begin with the official program.
In the meantime, well, I know you, but what is your role, Ilya and Nicola, in the webinars and in HeyReach? While we are waiting for the others, I know that everybody should know you, but anyway, let's say maybe even better. Let's put Nicola to present Ilya and Ilya to present Nicola in short terms while we are waiting. So
nice.
Ilya, what can you say about Nicola?
I will let Nicola lead on this, so he can start first.
Okay, so my thinking about Ilya, well, for this like 1 year that I'm working with HeyReach currently, I can say so far he's the best salesperson that I know. You know how he's like closing meetings, getting in touch with all those clients, from the first call to the follow-up calls and all of that. But that is not only that, in the marketing stage as well. He has been known so far, for just planning the whole thing, content-wise, plan-wise, from also regarding like budget and all that. But I think his expertise is more around sales, even though he's led as head of growth on LinkedIn, as everybody knows here. But his main expertise in sales, and I can tell you that he's has done so far a job well known. So that is how I will present Ilya to our audience right here.
Thank you, Nicola. And Ilya, how would you present Nicola then on the other side?
Well, Nicola joined us as the LinkedIn expert, to be honest, and he was the guy who actually taught me a lot of things about LinkedIn in general. Not just I'm talking about from basic LinkedIn filtering up to messaging up to communicating with people. And nevertheless, once we've recognized that ability to Nicola to help out others, basically this guy can do a campaign for I don't know, from doctor to business coach to whatever it is, to a plumber. So we decided to shift Nicola to customer success. He's doing hell of a job over there. I mean, yeah, it's like a team effort. Basically, we have the same backgrounds. We are in the same room, and yeah, I'm seeing Nicola more than my wife. So, I mean, I cannot say anything
Don't
bad
say
about
that
it.
publicly. Yeah.
I just did. Cool. Guys, let's start with the official program. Thanks to everyone for joining this meeting. I do see a lot of familiar faces in the audience. I just want to thank all of you for taking the time, and we hope that we will make your time worth with this in this webinar. Naturally, we've heard a lot about how do we do LinkedIn, how do we do outbound, how do we do messages, and the problem is it's not really a problem. We see an opportunity to try and educate people on how to generate opportunities from LinkedIn, which would eventually lead to high ticket sales. So naturally, who is the best person to do that? I mean, it could be us, yeah, but nevertheless, we've thought of Vasco Karangeleski over here, local support, always appreciated, our dear friend, and a hell of a professional with 17 plus years of experience in sales, leading, I don't know, he can say it for himself how many teams he has led so far. And the person who will actually should be able to give you a different perspective on how you should look at on LinkedIn and how you should visualize and put in concept all of your outbound campaigns. So Vasco, you have the stand. Please tell few words about you.
Well, about me, I'm a dear friend, as explained by Ilya. I didn't ask him to represent me, but in short, I am 45 years young since this weekend. So, with some experience in my back, I was called here with the help for high ticket sales. I was thinking whether I'm the right person, but I guess in my last 20 years of experience in the B2B sales, something counts. Not to speak about myself much, I can tell you check out my LinkedIn profile, Vasco Karangeleski. It's just connected and you'll find me. If you don't, then you don't have many connections. If you don't find me, then it's up to you, not up to me. Anyway, I mean, I'm currently the Chief Revenue Officer of Modelix. It's a business planning software for startups and SMEs, recently launched. So it's a kind of a startup launched publicly in September. Prior to that, when I think we've met for the first time, I was VP of sales for a US B2B sales company. So we were providing outsourced sales development departments in the B2B space for the US market solely. So I was the one responsible for bringing in, let's say, the new clients that we were servicing and finding clients for them on the top of the pipeline level. So it included several channels within there, but also a lot of processes, a lot of tech stack, a lot of tactical and strategic approach. And prior to that, 17 years of management consulting. I guess I'm a little bit shy about this sales part. Like when I was called in for the US company, I said I'm not a sales guy, and the guy who is the chief revenue officer there, chief operating officer there, told me, yeah, right, but I know you established for a company 35 teams in 35 countries, and on the other hand, you have been living from management consulting of top management, and you have been executive member of Chambers of Commerce, director, sorry. So CEO of the Chambers of Commerce, but when I was younger, probably like Nicola, a little bit younger than what Ilya is now. So that would be my background. In the recent years, now I'm in a startup. We are having low ticket sales. We are just ramping up. We are going to enterprise next year. So I have let's say a few months gap in selling enterprise level deals. However, I mean, I have been doing that for the recent years. So that would be my short
and Vasco,
presentation here.
just to give the guys perspective, like on the previous job experience that you had, what was the average deal size that you guys were offering over there?
Well, I can tell you what was the minimal ticket
Yeah,
that, as a
we
VP
can do
of
that.
sales, my team of account executives and sales managers were bringing in. So it would be something around $55,000.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
a
That's
deal,
awesome.
minimal deal size. Well,
That's
for
awesome.
our clients, what we did, because it was all across the board, the ones we were working with. So there were some that were in the, so we were setting up their top of the pipeline outsource department. There's some more in the, usually they had to be at least in the range of 30,000 annual client value or deal value and above. That was the minimum.
Wow.
I'm now thinking, I've just had a conversation with some of my former colleagues, like, that guy within AI for retail chains, he's still with us. He ramped up his game, his enterprise. And I remember that guy. I mean, that's one of my key clients because he didn't close for a year, but that's a different sales cycle because his lowest deal size was 800K and his their average deal size was 1.24. I mean, 1,240,000 US dollars. So that, I mean, it's a deal size. It's the sales cycle is different. The approach is different. Everything is different there, right?
Vasco, I know you probably have explored at some point, but how does the ticket size correlate with the sales cycle? Meaning, are they proportionally growing as the deal size is growing, then the sales cycle should be expected to be larger, or is there something that we probably could not assume?
Well, I mean, in general, almost it's proportional. The higher the ticket size, the longer the sales cycle.
Right.
It's usually like that. Now, it also, when we're talking about the sales cycle, I mean, I guess you have different people from different aspects here. There is also the type of the service. It's whether it requires analysis pre-sales, if it requires implementation services. Like, I mean, HeyReach is easy. I mean,
Yeah.
I buy
I
don't need to know anyone. I come in, I buy like 10 seats, I activate them, I connect them. They're wonderful templates on the sequences. If I don't have a clue, I go on the templates of HeyReach, I put the sequences as I decide, and I'm ready to go in a few hours, right? In some, like, I don't know, cybersecurity or I mean, we had managed service providers or whatever needs implementation for the service to start. It's usually analysis, implementation. So you have a sales cycle of a year and you have one more year of implementing that and testing it out. And then, I mean, because of that, the sales cycle is also longer, and it's not, I would like to, because here we are talking about people that are doing outreach in LinkedIn, but I would say I would test the idea of whether we should talk about buyer persona at all in the B2B sales. Or should we talk about buyer decision unit, which I think it's much appropriate. And I mean, I'm guilty of this myself, even today. Like, we have the ICP, the ideal customer profile. This is the buyer persona. I'm targeting them, putting them in a sequence, doing whatever channel I'm using. I mean, we are using, but in reality, it's in the B2B sales, it's a totally, let's say, I don't know how to call it. I mean, I read it somewhere like decision management unit or decision making unit, whatever you want to call it. So you have influencers, you have decision makers, you have opposers, buyers, users, beneficiaries, initiators, gatekeepers. Don't forget gatekeepers. We are aware of those.
Sorry to interrupt, but you just went full VP on us on this webinar, just laying it all down with all the terms and all of that. Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think that anyone who has to offer a $2,000 plus, I don't know, conversion or product or service, can they close that person based on only a connection request on LinkedIn?
They can initiate the conversation.
Okay.
So let's put it this way. I didn't go whole VP. Come on. I was maybe you can help me out with statistics. I was looking at statistics of VPs of sale, and there I see there are two groups: 500 to 1,500 approximately connections, and a small amount that has more than 1,500 connections, usually 2,000 up to 3,000. I don't know if that's right or not. And I have been a VP of sales, and and now I'm Chief Revenue Officer, which are the most prospected LinkedIn profiles in any Boolean sales navigator or whatever search you're using, right? And so I'm not a classical one. I want to, deny you in that part because I have 11,000 followers at the moment, and something more than that.
Guys, sorry, Vasco. Guys, remember this. There is a saturation on the market when it comes to reaching out to certain job positions, even if it's like in US, EU, Australia, you name it. There is a saturation to a certain level, and we will release the statistics on HeyReach, like which are the most targeted jobs on LinkedIn based on the HeyReach usage. And what Vasco has to tell you, it's not far from the truth. I mean, it is the truth, because VP of sales and anyone like C-level executive within software development company are the most targeted people out there. So basically, just figure it this way: you might have a great offer, you might even have a great campaign and a great profile, but still you are competing with 100 other people for the same LinkedIn inbox. The same goes for the email, the same goes for their phone, the same goes for everywhere. So naturally, you have to rethink the way you are approaching these people. If it's just a duplication of what everyone is doing, then you probably have the same success as everyone else, which is no success at all. Just have that in mind next time you are creating a campaign. Let's talk.
I didn't answer your question.
Yeah.
And I want to. I'm thinking of like 5 different stories to answer it through a story, but let's put it in simple terms. Let's go VP on you, so be general. I'm now chief. Come on.
Okay. Sure.
Never mind. Never mind the title. The point is, you can get a deal through LinkedIn. You can start a conversation and you can get them talking. I have seen, a lot of people now, automations. I don't know, you're like, automations are not allowed in LinkedIn, guys. Come on. We have tools that help us get a bigger reach and scale more and act as humans. And we are, at the end of the day, we are humans. You mentioned like we are reaching out. So I don't know, can you share in the chat how many of you are SDRs? Say, write one from the people that are here. And the ones that are, I don't know, leading a team, can you write 2 in the chat, please? You will find it. I'm also finding, okay. Just to know how many people we are talking to. Yeah. So 1 and 2, good. The point I'm trying to make is, like there is misconception all around. I'm setting up sequences with multiple channels. Let's come back for a second, Ilya. Please let me share a story with you. Because now I'm working with both marketing and sales are under my belt. So we have Google Ads, we have Meta, we have social media, we're having SEO optimization, backlinks, representation, ratings, direct sales, warm sales, cold sales, outreach, so forth, this team, that team, and so forth. And automations, and at some point, it's sometimes the C-level that says, like, we don't need automations, we don't know what will work. Yeah, but those automations doesn't mean that they will bring them from the beginning till the end. It's not a fully automated conversion channel, like in a B2C sales. So what I'm trying to expand on here is on LinkedIn, it's important to start the conversation. So consider it as conversation starters. I had 2, I used the automation in this last year. I used HeyReach in this last month, and I had 2 sequences. One was no connection. It was just my first level connections, which fitted a specific profile, because I found that there are 500 of those. So I re-engaged so it was a messaging campaign solely. And the second one was with the people in a group that we shared common experience in the past. That was like, let's call it by sequence lead gen, but it was in reality a connection and reconnection type of campaign. And why I'm saying this, because from the first one, I know that now we have salespeople. I did an intentional mistake in the spelling. So I had reactions from people like, what is this? A robot took your profile, or come on, I thought you were in sales. You have a sales experience. What is this pitchy message you're writing me? Like, I care what is happening. But that helped me start conversation with over 65% of the people I've messaged. Now, the other thing is I overestimated myself. So at one moment I was not able to answer them daily, so it's a different engagement metrics further down the road, especially for sales. One more thing.
Sorry to cut you off. There is nothing like better initiator of a conversation starting as a person who likes to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Right? That's like provoking the answer, and they're just falling into the trap, if you will. But the whole point is that to start communicating one way or another. Right? Go on, please.
Especially on social media, if the brand doesn't mind it, I mean that's how to get your posts higher. Make an intentional mistake because the ones that want to correct you will be first, and then it will be higher in the newsfeed. But that's a different topic. Yeah. But it's not really, because what we are talking about now, and I wanted to divide LinkedIn and other channels, whatever channel we are taking. Please be respectful of the channel you're using. I see a lot of SDRs. I know you're given quotas, you're given scripts or not given scripts, you're given targets. So of course you swear. Who swears at their boss? Write 0 in the chat. Who doesn't write A? Let's see how many don't swear, or nobody will write anything, right? But A. Yeah, I remember you because you were both 1 and 2, so you don't swear at yourself. The one that went in the chat, Camelia. My point here is I see it. I thought it was gone, but I see it even more nowadays, that we think that LinkedIn is a broadcasting TV channel. I mean, I had a conversation a few days back. I have an idea. Vasco, set it up. Let's send them pre-Christmas message to all of our second level connections. And I said, wait a minute, let me show you. When I do a search, I have 528,000 second connections. Yeah. If you find me a way how to contact them in a day, well, use LinkedIn automation, man. So what I'm saying here, every channel has its rule sets. Every channel has it's like, now I'm in a suit on a webinar, and this would be good that I go in a business conference, I don't know, in some hotel. This would not be a good suit for a pool party, right? As well as a swimsuit would not be a good suit to go to a business cocktail, right? With a in a tuxedo to go on tell me whatever on the pool party. So each channel has its specifics. The one with the suit is LinkedIn. Let's not act like it's Instagram. It's not. Funny stuff, pictures work, videos work, but it's not. It's a different reach. So that's what I wanted to share on. Maybe too much on the question of whether we can get a deal on LinkedIn. We can start the conversation and we can get a deal, and I have done it a dozen times.
Absolutely. I mean, we will go a little bit more deeper into the whole how you should do LinkedIn. That's one touch base, and then what are the things that should be automated and the things that should not be, especially if the deal size is big. But nevertheless, now since 23, it's already gone. Like Q4, it's coming towards the end. Everyone is like even on holidays, preparing for New Year's. What would you say to people who actually want to prepare themselves for Q1 24? So how are they looking? What are the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what's the best way to generate new opportunities in their pipeline?
What is the best way to generate new opportunities? We are talking LinkedIn only, all across the board.
Well, if we are talking LinkedIn only, like people will say that this is staged. But yeah, I'm curious to know, like, whatever it is on your mind.
Well, let's put it this way. I would say there are two aspects we need to take into consideration here, because I assume most of the people here are salespeople. I assume. So my question is, what is your stage of the company you're at, and the product market fit. That would be the one aspect. And the second one would be, when we are talking about LinkedIn, how many followers do you have? So can I ask you, like, who has less than 1,000 followers or connections on LinkedIn? Write 1. Who has 1,000 to 3,000? Write 3. And who has above 3,000? Write 5. Oh, cool. Ilya Stoikovsky, you're also with these 5. So let me share. I mean, I didn't start great. I didn't start my story with automations. The first time I started using tools for LinkedIn was when I had over 7,000 contacts. Sounds peculiar, but I was using it as a contact, let's say, address book. It was something for how to swim with the sharks. I forgot the author's name. Like, whoever you meet, stay in touch. And Instagram, Facebook didn't work for me, so I was using LinkedIn. Maybe because, I don't know, in 2008, probably some of these were in primary school, is the first group I have established on LinkedIn. So I have been using this. And why I'm mentioning this? Because it requires patience. So when you're talking about leads, having in mind where is your product market fit stage and how many connections do you have, what do you want to achieve, I would say, in the next 90 days. So January is usually a great time, depending on the product in the B2B space. It might be the season, it might not be the season. In general, I would say if it's an early product market fit, go direct, go warm outreach, go use cold calling. I mean, don't get me misunderstood. Go directly to the people you know. You can look at Alex Hormozzi's 100 offers or deals. What was the last one? How to get your first 5 clients. Use that specialized offers if it's early in your stage, because getting to 50 or 100 clients, I think that's the best way to generate leads for the beginning. Now, that's not the case with everybody. So here we want more scale, and I guess with the ones that have 5,000 or more, I would say use LinkedIn. And it really doesn't make sense to pitch from today till, I don't know, 10th of January. So it's a celebration time. Maybe reconnect with people that you had some conversations with. Sometimes Merry Christmas can work. I mean, by accident, the deal from my previous job, the company that had 1.2 million average deal size, I had the first meeting with that guy on 4th of January. And it was a person I have outreach previous. I mean, my team has outreach previously, and I decided just to randomly write Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to several people. And the CEO and founder of that company, which was already huge, said, do you have half an hour on the 4th of January so we can have like coffee talk?
Yeah. I'm currently hesitating on 2 things, to be honest, because since holiday season is starting and all of that, like, first thing, people are off their emails. That's one, but they're not off their LinkedIn profiles. As a matter of fact, they will be more active on LinkedIn just by scrolling and just keeping it in touch with what's going around with the world and everything. So the probability, and this is just an assumption, guys, I don't have any data to back this up, probably will have in the future. That means that people are more active on LinkedIn, but they're not that ready to talk business with you. And each conversation that can happen then should either lead to, let's leave this out after the holidays. I just want to give congratulate you on a holiday or on a New Year's or whatever it is. But I would not suggest to anybody to start off that salesy, conversation that we all want to lead to a conversion. It's not the right time. You have additional 345 days throughout the year to do whatever the hell you want. But just leave these couple of days, rest in peace. I know that everyone's in a struggle to produce a solid pipeline and to generate more opportunities and deals. Now it's not time. That's practically. Cool. Vasco,
I agree and disagree. Because decision makers, we said decision-making unit. So the higher in the hierarchy, it's usually they're older people, and email is something they open on their phones. Maybe not the first few days of Christmas, but if they're with their family, and get sick and tired of their family, they would escape with an excuse to go in the other room and check the emails, and they might read them. But I totally agree on the part of not pitching at this time. It's offending. It's
Cool. Okay, yeah, I forgot about the factor that families can be boring from time to time, right?
Yeah.
It's all good. Now, Vasco, since you've been managing a lot of teams, and some of the people in the audience are actually managing bigger teams, it doesn't necessarily have to be a team of SDRs or a team of BDRs. They can really be a team of VAs who are well trained. But there is a problem to it based on what we've seen, is that not all the players that you have in your team are A-class players, meaning they can do all around game in terms of sourcing leads, managing outreach, nurturing, and all of that. Me personally, I am such an idiot when it comes to nurturing leads. I don't really like Nicola over here does an amazing job at it, but I'm really not good at that, right? So nevertheless, let's imagine that you have, I don't know, 1 or 2 A-class players and 3 or more B-class players. What is the most optimal way to put those B-class players into A-class, or just an improved version of themselves, so they would be more efficient at their job?
You want me to answer the holy grail of of leading teams? I don't know.
Give me your 3 answers. Whatever.
I mean, I don't know. Like straight from the point. I mean, it depends on. I would say I don't accept B players, but in the reality, because sometimes it's a new team, you don't know what specific person is at a certain stage. You anyway have more B players than A players, and even you have levels of A players and levels of B players. I would say, before I give you my answer, I would say the difference I see between A and B players is not the target results, and not how much they achieve the results, and not how much, although this sounds peculiar coming from someone leading sales team, but not from how much they get their quota, hit their quota, or how much they have the results, but on the work ethic, honesty, and readiness to learn. Because B players, oftentimes we say, he's a B player, but in reality, it's a person in development. Yeah. So it's a person. It might be. Everybody needs less or more time, but if there is willingness to grow, if that is the position for the person, because there are only 4 questions for making a team, right? Is that the right person for this job? Is that person willing to be at this position? Is he or she ready to grow and learn in that position, right? So and is it the time to obtain that position? Because timing is sometimes, you might sometimes give a title or responsibilities way too early and break the person instead of doing it properly. So I don't know on the ratio of any A and B players. That depends from each team. I'm really into pushing for A players and giving them the space, only the space, the direction, and the resources to do it, of course, with coordination. And I can explain it this way. Let's put it this way, and I guess it's based on junior, senior level. I had this discussion recently on the topic of remote or office work. So, with a person who is for office, like it's easier, it's easier, and so forth. But it's the question of oversight. And it depends on the position, it depends on the person, how much experience they have prior to this job, not just on the position they're at. I'm talking about salespeople now mainly, but anyway. So for example, we had, let's say SDR level, we had a lot of people who needed twice per day checkup with their manager. Starting of the day, daily call, midday checkup. We had managers who had at some time once per day, 10 minutes coordination, usually 1 hour twice per week. And we had leadership team who had 2 hours, one entire leadership team and one direct responsible, usually the CEO, and the other one for not topics related to performance, but any other topics that might be related to other departments and how you feel and getting to know each other. So my point here is, A players on one level is one thing, on the other one is another thing, on the third one is another thing. If possible, sometimes you say you cannot pay players, but you can always pay them if you have the compensation plan is not only in money. So at the end of the month, right? So it depends. You can get A players, not always, but
Guys, as a takeout from everything Vasco had to say over here, there are two questions. Whether or not this person is worth to invest in that person, even though they're not performing at the current state. And the second question is the time now to do that? Right? Those are the two questions down the road. We will all like to have Michael Jordan in our team and replicate that with 10 Michael Jordans all the time, but from time to time we will still get Jeff Hornacek or somebody else like Vlade Divac into the team. So I'm not saying those are guys that are the big players, but they're pretty much A players. But nevertheless, the whole point is that is the time right and is this person right, which is sometimes really hard to determine. But yeah, it's the risk of the job. Cool. Thank you for sharing that on a very on the manager level of managing people.
Can I share something more? Can I share a short one with here? I called it a complex level 2, but we can call it a rockstar complex. Every salesperson that first time started their sales job. I mean, I'm saying sales because it's easily measurable and you can become a rock star, right? So I don't know a single, including myself, a single salesperson that after they reached a certain level, running for it, and then crushing targets, that they didn't go in a rock star mentality. Which means now I don't listen to you, Ilya. You are my mentor and you brought me here, and now I know everything because for 3 months I'm crushing it. And for example, that's a normal stage for me. I mean, maybe there are people that have not passed that phase. I don't know any starting salesperson that hasn't passed that phase. Just wanted to add on the topic.
Well, as the professionals grow, their ego grows at the same time, so it's becoming very much more difficult to,
and it's necessary for the next stage to crash again and to get up and go further.
Cool. Let's get more practical from this point on. I'm suggesting here. It's great that we've shared all of these things, but the crucial question is, right? If you were to start off a cadence, a sequence today on LinkedIn, right? Approaching people to which you need to sell a product or a service which costs 10+K. How would you do it?
Myself?
Yeah.
Now you're going to technicalities. You would want to how you set it up in HeyReach and so forth. Now you really went into practicality. So how I would do it? First, what is the ideal? Who is in the pain? I would do the homework first because I think that's the most necessary thing to do. What is the ideal customer profile? At least as an educated guess, meaning who they are. Then I would not go into my sequence, but I would go on what are the pain points. For example, I don't know, say some sector.
Software development.
Software development. Okay. So, and we are selling whatever, let's say outsourced software developers. So there are too many, there is a big competition. So I would not go like what we are offering, but I would go like what are the main pain points that this size of companies, as segment as possible. Like what are their pain points? We call them pain points, but they're struggling not connected to our product, but in general. And then go more towards the specifics. And then I would build my messaging and conversation around testing the hypothesis if those are the pain points. Why I'm saying that? Because then I'm prepared to listen. And then I would make the sequence, which would be, you know what I like a lot? Joining a group where that target group, the leadership of, let's say the decision makers of those leaderships are. Like if it's a software development, they're probably on LinkedIn like 10,000 groups of software developers in security, in this and that, in SaaS or whatever. So I would join such groups, and then I would add filters in getting the data, who are the members of those groups, because then I can refer to in some of the messaging later on, like we are in this group, and whether in the first one or the second, whatever, like thank you for connection. I saw your profile on that group. I don't need to pitch at that moment. I like 3 to 4 message sequences. I like let's say, starting with it delays, so patience. I mentioned it once, but I think the only difference in success is how we measure time and on what time frame, whether it's a month or 2 or 3 or a year. Because I think that's the key difference. So like, follow some view. I don't like to follow ahead of time. I like view profile, like maybe post from
keeping it natural.
To look at to mimic a human, and then set up the sequence. Now that's maybe in too much details. What I would go back to is, in reality, we never have 100% clean data. In reality, we can never pinpoint the right person, no matter what search engine we have, no matter if we are using HeyReach, no matter if we are doing some other scrapers. I mean, just the comparison of a Boolean search to Sales Navigator raises the chances for getting to the right people better. For example, I mean, I think you've discussed this, so I don't want to go into details. Like, I like to add that someone that recently posted on LinkedIn, because there are a lot of people that don't go on LinkedIn and have profiles, right? So my measures on connection sent, connection accepted are different when doing the search, for example. So clean data is one, right data is the second. If possible, verified data. So there are many other layers just from the data you're going after, and I think this is important because it really changes the game and the metrics and the responses. Then I asked, like, how many people do you have? Like, okay, you have 5,000 and so forth, but there were people with one that have less than 1,000 people. So the connection rate is really important in the LinkedIn. I mean, we all know that the connection rate from any request is important, so that you can have more, how is it called? That LinkedIn doesn't consider you that you are really doing an automation or just poaching people, because at the end of the day, it's a professional network. So just as an example, in a totally different market, I know that I saw at one webinar, you said, go after people in your country, people to build up the first following. Just as an example, I have set up in HeyReach a sequence for a colleague of mine in a totally different market, but I took my time to get the right ICP, to clean the data, to verify that they're users as much as possible. There is always someone who will not fit the ideal profile that we dreamed about last night during our dream with unicorns and princesses and stuff, but that's life. And so in that sense, I'm mentioning this because it had, in a totally different country, totally untouched area, he had like 44% acceptance rate in the first 2 weeks.
Nice. I got a story to share about this. Basically, we've seen that UK is proving a good market for us, to be honest. And people who are in business development and sales development in general are the champions, actually, for the platform, because those are the end users. So we've structured a bit of a different campaign when it comes to approaching C-level executives on a totally unknown location where you don't have anything in common. So basically, before we even start sending messages, connection requests, profile engagements, whatsoever to the manager itself, we start to target the SDRs and the BDRs, like the lower layer of that corporation, of that company, of that entity in general. And why is that? Like SDRs, BDRs are people who are the most active users on LinkedIn, especially if they are in IT or software development of any kind. So basically, we are pushing out blank connection requests, even messages from time to time, just to initiate a conversation without even trying to sell anything. And the question is, why are we doing that? First is because we have an automation software running this for us in the background. And second is to create a lot of second level connections towards that decision maker. What that means is if you're coming to me tomorrow, right, with a connection request and we are third plus, not connected at all, no one in common, it's one thing. And the second thing will be to if you are connected with Nicola, my colleague number one, colleague number two. So basically we are second with 3 mutual connections. So that's even warming up the person you are going after. To express that in numbers, I've run a test campaign on decision makers in US, like everything was the same, the location, the job title and all of that, but I had no one in common. So basically the acceptance rate of that profile got around 10 to 12%. Now, 30 days forward, I've implemented second degree, lower level job positions, added those which gain around 50% acceptance rate because they want to have a lot of connections. They really don't care about the quality of the connections itself. Now, when I have restarted the decision maker campaign, my acceptance rate got around 35%. And why is that? Because I've added 500 SDRs from a specific location. Right. So that means that I'm connected to their managers on a second level degree connections with not just one person, but multiple people within their team. So that can be used as a warm up as well. In addition, before you even start building out that cadence, which could eventually lead to a conversation or to a closure or to a sale. So nevertheless,
can I comment on this one? I have a thought, maybe a provoking one. I don't accept SDRs anymore as connections.
Wow.
Now that's one part because I know that they would sell. You know, that they would pitch me and fill my inbox, and I'm really careful when I accept salespeople lately. However, and this is the great point you made. I think, I mean, that's if I can give something that I think should be a giveaway. I mean, from my side, it would be, I mean, do your authentic voice. I know you're selling for someone else, but adjust your outreach based on the role. And just to confirm what you said, like you have BDRs, SDRs, so you're known, and that is a good network you have, so you can access them, and then through them you get further. Is Nicola out? No. On the other side, I wanted to, for example, what I did in the past, not just now, in accessing a certain market. I have been a certified management consultant, and there are like, I don't know, 30,000 in the world altogether. So when I was going to a market, who is my best multiplier? It's not the CEO I'm going after or the industry. So I was targeting common groups and consultants. This is years back. For example, first time I did, I spread it in the US market. I didn't know, I mean, I had like 20 people in my network. I had 5,000 connections and 20 people in my network. And I started building on what is my position and based on my role, so we can have a peer-to-peer conversation, So I'm not targeting the CEO of Oracle or I don't know, the VP of sales of Microsoft. I'm targeting someone in my level. And through that, so it requires patience and consistency. Not patience, we'll wait and we'll see what happens and start it tomorrow, but patience in building it up. And so in that manner, I accessed larger networks on second level, and then you can go into automations, and then you can be recognized and have a connection in common, and so forth.
Yeah, guys, that's true. I mean, there are multiple use cases of the platform itself. Like I'm talking about HeyReach right now, or any other automation tool in the market. Utilize that not just to initiate that conversation. Utilize that to create a warm opportunity that will eventually lead to a conversation or a conversion, if you will. The thing is, when we take on a very high end, we pop a question: does LinkedIn work? Right. So you will probably get the same. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Right.
No,
So
no, it doesn't. Put a billboard. Let's see the billboard. How much it works. Let's go back to spreading flyers for software development.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
it works in restaurants, but not in but not.
Local markets need to be marketed in a specific location, and that's why it's that. So, nevertheless, think of it this way: you will probably never have the time to add SDRs on a lower level of employees entries within a specific company. Utilize the automation software that you have to build that around a certain market. So once you're there, you're basically connected with multiple people. And I'm still not saying send that calendar link, book a demo over here within the connection request. I'm just saying your chances of getting accepted will increase by at least 3 times. Now, there is another thing I wanted to share, and this is basically what I've experienced.
Are there any questions, by the way, from the participants?
Well,
You can ask me whatever you want. I took off my suit. We have 10 more minutes. Every question is answerable if asked, but only in the next 9 minutes. Limited time offer ending soon. Put the clock.
Creating a fear. Oh, there's the first question. Cool. Created the fear of missing out. Okay, let's address the question then first. Can you suggest HeyReach sequence to total newbie on LinkedIn for Facebook ads client?
What does it mean, Facebook ads client?
Well, I'm guessing that this person is offering Meta ads, and he's seeking for new clients on LinkedIn.
Should I answer it or should you? I would say you can. Just not if you have 0 connections. Do not do outreach until you build and optimize your profile. And building and optimizing your profile means, filled out elements of your interests or your experience, skills. You can put on your previous experience, no matter how much you have, at least 300, 500 connections if you're doing it massively. So you can do it. You can put it. I know that even on HeyReach templates, if you go on their website, you have a warm-up sequence set up there. So if you're a newbie, how to build your profile. I haven't tested it out, so Ilya and Nicola can answer that. But you should. The question is when. If you're a total newbie, just register to LinkedIn, build your profile and your authority first.
Yeah, and just answer this question first before you even begin. Who do I ideally want to talk to? I know that you want to talk with the person with the money willing to pay for Facebook ads to be managed by somebody else, but just think a little bit deeper on that. Which industry? How does that person look like? What is his job role? Stuff like that. Does he have the budget? How long will the sales cycle be? Like, think about all of those questions, write them down. Basically, the outcome of that will be your targeted audience or the filters that you need to implement to extract the targeted audience. From that point on, profile optimization a little bit, then posting regularly. It's not that, like, even if you're not the best content writer, just go to ChatGPT and create a bunch of posts, edit them here and there, just so you can create that visibility around your profile. From that point on, it's just initiating conversations.
There are questions in the chat as well. I see one is double. Okay, I see both of them. I know you should be moderating that, but I'm excited to see it because I said everything can be asked. So who uses it. So there was a question I see in both places. Sending an email message or messaging my first connection, I have to make sure it's very concise and a quick question to start the conversation. What do you recommend? I've tried longer emails and messages and this work. It doesn't work. And I mean, this is it. Neither emails, neither messages. Let me share you last year's story. I'm negotiating with a client. We're talking about the deal sizes. I mean, it's annual, but it's 170K US dollars. Around 170,000 US dollars. Okay, there were discounts, 150, whatever. And we agreed we're going forward. I'm sending the contract for signing, and I put a longer email with all the agreed and changed all the items we discussed on our half-an-hour meeting, going over the details and order the contract terms. And he sends it back to me TLTD, too long to read.
Too long didn't read.
And I was like, what? I mean, but we're talking about contract. We are talking about a service agreement. We're talking about, really elements you need to put in writing. So my point, especially in I love on emails. I think if someone doesn't know how to make it, Lavender is a good add-in. I don't know if you've tried it. I mean, there are others as well. This is the one I've used, and I recommend starters for outreach to use Lavender. You can put it as an extension, and it shows you if it's optimized, whether it's. I mean, there are other tools as well. This one I've used. I haven't used it for a while, but I have some juniors in my team, so I told them like put Lavender as an extension. It gives you like the mobile version. What is your tone? It's not Grammarly, but it's more for sales. So 70 up, a mail, 70 first mail, 75 words, not more.
If there
People
is
read on the mobile. Even on Christmas, the ones that will read, they will read on the mobile. They will not read on the desktop.
Yes, the length of the content is always an issue, especially with various devices such as mobiles, tablets, and all of that. So have in mind that you will be probably asking your prospect to do a bunch of scrolls. So you don't want to do that. Next, it's not really about whether or not a certain channel works, right? It's not comparing to whether or not a direct message or an email works, because down to like if the copy is not good, right, or the offer is not relevant to the prospect, whichever way you want to reach them, you can reach them, but it will still fail. So it's not about the communication channel, it's more like optimizing for that communication channel in particular.
Yeah.
Cool, we've got that out of the way.
How wonderful, no, this is, how wonderful to encounter someone with this approach. Bea, thank you. If it's for me, if it's for Ilya, thank you in his name, if it's for Nicola as well. Advice, if your who is not in my level, but is in a higher, just a suitable message. Camelia, I mean, you have to adjust. And I would suggest for everybody that's going there, there are three approaches. It's mainly from network marketing. I've learned this, but you can find it. I'm mentioning that because you can search it like that. It's direct, indirect, super indirect. So if it's someone higher in your position, you don't know him, super indirect approach. Don't ask him anything. Ask them for advice. Ask them a feedback. Don't sell anything. Be nice. Find out what they want. You know, sometimes this personalization is so funny. I'm laughing at the attempt of personalization because it was, you know, like automated AI automatization. It would say, I see you live, you have studied in the same school as, I don't know, the president of Macedonia. Why don't we connect? You know, I mean, I'm kidding now, but sometimes it goes too far. Be human. Be authentic in your messaging, and if going, not necessarily that they're at higher level or they're at higher position, but you want to show you the way, but do not beg and do not use sir, dear, ma'am. Use their first name. Just do the messaging like super indirect. And in my world, I think the multi-million-dollar question is reciprocity. If I would you, if I do this, would you do that? If I would or call you for a webinar, would you come? If I call you on a webinar on HeyReach, if I offer you, I don't know, a drink after the webinar, would you come to speak to the webinar as a VP of sales? That's how they got me, you know. No, I'm kidding. But if I buy you dinner or whatever, so that is. I mean, that's not just dinner, but you can use that in the communication. Once you get the hang of it, it's incredible what it brings.
Cool. Let's speed up a little bit. So he's posting content. Is posting content regularly on LinkedIn a must to land a high-ticket clients? Your opinion?
Yes.
Short and sweet.
We have 2 more minutes, and there is Dennis also who asked something, but for not necessarily that you have to write big stuff. It works. I mean, but I can tell you, I was not active in the recent 5 months, and my SSI score is now down to 65 from 100. But I don't know what is the recommended social selling index score. I was looking at it.
Anything above 50 will be like just.
Yeah, I'm down to 65, but I'm saying it. I'm down because when posting regularly, when commenting, when communicating with people, the LinkedIn goes up. Check that out, and you will know how to optimize your score. There are recommendations there. Posting content and sharing content. You don't have to write it. You don't have to be a content creator. You can see. Experienced people can see what ChatGPT wrote if you don't edit it. Now it's too often that we see that. But I mean, being present is necessity, because then we see that you're, and I would say not just that, answer quickly to anyone you're outreaching to.
Yeah.
Dennis,
Guys,
question.
yeah, go on with this.
I don't know how we are time. I think we have 1 more minute left, or what?
And we can do like 5 minutes more. So yeah, no, not
So answering questions now. The quiz question: generalized time frame by your experience to close your B2B sales on LinkedIn from the first touch. You don't close the sales on LinkedIn. You start the conversation on LinkedIn. So it depends from the rest of the funnel and your Dennis, from the sequence you set up and the processes you have. LinkedIn is to start the conversation. I don't know that someone can close a deal. I mean, we're talking about high ticket sales just on messaging on LinkedIn. The LinkedIn is to get you in touch, to start the conversation, to have a meeting, to have a follow-up, to nurture them, to come back, to share more information, and so forth and so forth. In average, really depends from the company and from the type of product and who you're targeting. And I would say it depends more from the position you're targeting and the ticket size, like what was at the start, the time frame. I think there was a question on that at the start. Now I have started, right?
Yeah, we will go to that. I'm just going to answer James' question over here about best practices not getting banned when using many LinkedIn profiles. We did a separate webinar on this, and I will just share the email with Nicola, and we will shoot that right over to you. The whole concept is to keep the account warm. What is a warm account? Account which has high acceptance rate. How do you do that? You basically target familiar locations, second degree connections, which will achieve approximately 60, maybe 75% acceptance rate. From that point on, LinkedIn cares only about that and selling Sales Navigator. I mean, that's their second thing when it comes to, right. So the first thing is, how often do you get accepted on each connection request sent? To answer that question, if you get accepted more of the time, like more than 50%, your account will be good to go. Now, in a typical lead gen campaign, like it's an industry standard to have like around 30% acceptance rate. But since LinkedIn is measuring things on weekly level, our proposition is to run a campaign Monday and Tuesday, which will generate approximately 60-70% acceptance rate, and then Wednesday to Friday to generate a lead gen campaign, which will generate around 30% acceptance rate. Combined all together, you will have that above 50% acceptance rate, and on top of that, you will be adding like probably 100 new people in your network per week. So that's a whole other, like we did an hour-long webinar on that. Share us your email, we will share that with you. Cool. Going to the questions. I have started to write articles within. Let me just pop it in here. I have started to write articles with LinkedIn and made them SEO optimized to gain authority instead of just creating blogs on my website and then posted on LinkedIn. Then I am posting to groups and connections about that article. Do you recommend continuing that, or do the blogs and both minor changes to keep the way from Google copy policy?
No, I don't see what is the bad about the Google copy policy here. I mean, it depends where is your main. What is? I mean, are you making the SEO optimized for Google search, or are you doing
LinkedIn search?
the LinkedIn
those
search?
Those are two different things. So basically, you cannot optimize for both. I mean, you can, but there is LinkedIn content and there is Google index content, right? You can find a mutual ground on both of them, but nevertheless, it can be some keywords, but you basically are optimizing for the search engine individual. So doing this on LinkedIn will basically give you better exposure on LinkedIn. It has nothing to do with, and if you try to repurpose that on Google, I'm not quite sure that the posts on LinkedIn are indexable to Google. So I'm not quite sure whether the copy duplication will happen over there. But yeah, I'm no SEO expert.
I mean, let's be honest. There's two search engines. I mean, two search engines. The main ones are Google and YouTube. YouTube is not a video platform; it's a search engine. So getting, if you have a blog that you're indexing, that you're building domain authority, do that. LinkedIn does help on that. If public, if I'm
Yep.
not sure how much of the backlinks are there, but your profile will be linked somehow there. Now this is, more. We need to go into more specifics on this question. There were other questions. I hope we answer that. So, should we turn on creator mode? I think yes. No matter, I have creator mode. I don't have a newsletter yet. I don't use live yet, but I think it's a good. That means, let's put it this way: if you're allowed to have creator mode, then you have optimized your profile and you have all stars. That's a good check that you have a good profile. I don't know, Ilya and Nicola, is that still the case or?
Well, Nicola is one of the angel promoters of the creator mode on LinkedIn, because that's how you keep track of the vanity metrics. Basically, how many impressions did the post get, what was the click-through rate, what like all of that. You need that, right? Creator mode additionally helps you to have better exposure when it comes to when people do the searches within the search engine. So it could not hurt you since it's private. So yeah, turn it on. At this point, I really want to thank Vasco for doing this whole thing with us and keeping up with our questions. It was really our honor to have you on board, Vasco. I hope that everyone's staying. 70 people stay until the very end, so thank you to all of you. I hope that you had a great time. Any last words, Vasco?
We're talking about LinkedIn. I would say don't treat it as a TV, as a broadcaster. It's a communication platform for professionals. Don't push and sell all the time. Don't act like on other social media if you're used to it, and build your authority there. So what I would say, be authentic to yourself. Don't post something you don't believe, even if it's for a company that you're using. This is not a profile that you can, like, if you're banned, delete it, you'll create another one. It's your profile. You're the person behind it. And follow and use LinkedIn outside of pitching. It has great stuff there. And I would say, if you're in the B2B sales, no matter if it's 5,000, 50,000, or whatever the ticket size is, think about the specific pains of each person in the decision-making unit. So it might be the CEO, VP, influencer, external consultant, marketing agency, whoever might be involved in the decision-making, and have that in mind, that process you will not close on the first. Have patience to build it, to cherish any type of relationship. Just don't overdo it just for a relationship. You're still not friends. It's a business relationship you're talking about. So thank you for having me here. I hope we will get a recording as well. And if I call you for dinner, Ilya, would you come to be on my webinar? I don't have
Only if you call me through HeyReach. Only if you call me through HeyReach using
You're in the sequence. You're added then.
Good to hear that. Thanks again to all of you, and let's catch up next Wednesday with our HeyReach Statistic 2023 webinar. And be sure to expect that throughout our HeyReach community. Bye to all, and have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.